there, everyone. Christian here. 5 years ago, in my childhood home backyard, you heard a recording compiled over video of the Nickel Plate Route 767, Paramarquette 1225, Strasburg 90, along with some plane spotting footage and museums that we had visited the summer beforehand, welcoming you to our channel. For the first time 5 years ago, you heard the words, I'm action, I'm set, and I'm go. I uploaded that video right before chasing the Viscose Company 6 on its second weekend of fall foliage excursions on the Buffalo, Cattaraugus, and Jamestown Scenic Railway. That would be the start of action, set, and go, rail fanning, and other cool stuff. And I can't believe it's already been 5 years since. 5 years later, I'm the only one who runs this channel. And a year ago, on the 4th anniversary, it would be rebranded C. Henderson Rail Productions. Over the past 5 years, I really can't believe all that has happened. Now, before you sit back and watch this video, I want it to be known, I actually watched all 4 anniversary videos before recording this one. I wanted this one to be special. This is another milestone for my channel. We made it to our first big anniversary, which was the 1st anniversary, and now we have made it to the 5th year anniversary. There have been many specials for the 5th year anniversary, including my 5th year anniversary chase, the Nickel Plate Road 765 Steam in the Valley 2021. I also made 2,000 subscribers this year, and that video was uploaded within the past few weeks of the Iowa Interstate 6988 steam freight train to South Amana. But over the past 5 years, it really is interesting to see how I have evolved as a channel. It is really interesting to see where this channel has taken me. From my home state of New York, to the East Coast of Pennsylvania and New Jersey, to New England and Connecticut and New Hampshire, down south in West Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia, out in the Midwest, Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. And it has even taken me out west to Colorado and Arizona. I could not be more happy of everything that I have accomplished, and when we were a team, everything we did accomplish. So with that being said, sit back. Here is my 5th anniversary video. When I used to do these anniversary videos, the first 3 I recapped what happened in the past year. They kind of got lost in the 2019 anniversary video. So real quickly, I am going to recap everything over the past 5 years. Like I just did with all the states that I've been to in the past 5 years. It amazes me in a way how much I have been able to travel due to my circumstances. I've been able to see Nickel Plate Road 765 many times, as well as Paramarquette 1225. I've been able to cover Reading and Northern 425 and the Strasburg Railroad more times than I can count. I've been out to the Valley Railroad, Conway Scenic, been down to my favorite railroad museum, Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum, a few different times, and have even made it out to the Illinois Railway Museum. I have covered a lot. Mainly steam locomotives, but I have covered diesels. Over the past 3 years, I've covered more diesels than I honestly ever thought I would when I started this channel. From classic Alcos to heritage units to fallen flags. You name it, I've tried to have the right variety. I've shot engines I've never thought I'd go and see. I've been to places I never thought I'd even return to. But it has been a great 5 years. It has been great making the amount of friends I have made over the past 5 years, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. While Chris and I don't collab anymore, we're still friends. We did speak about actually chasing a train again together. But over the past year, I really feel my channel has grown more than what it has in the past 5 years since it became a solo effort. This video is for all of you. Thank you to everyone that has liked my videos. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed. Thank you for everyone who has followed me on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and yeah. This video right now would not be possible without you guys. 5 years. Who would ever thought I'd be doing this for this long? While the channel, I guess you could say, has its roots going back many years of me and from when I first started really filming trains in 2014, I never thought I'd actually get here. I never thought I'd travel as much as what I have traveled. So for my 5th year anniversary, I didn't really know what I really wanted to talk about because there's so much I could talk about over the past 5 years. And I came up with this idea in late summer, what if I got interviewed? I asked a personal friend of mine to interview me for this. And we were supposed to do the interview at Steam in the Valley, and we were going to try when we didn't do it there at Berkshires in Bellevue. But unfortunately, a whistle battle canceled my interview. So I decided here would be the best time. I'm going to interview myself, which might seem a little egotistical, but I want to try and do something differently. In preparation for this interview, I have watched many interviews of YouTube channels on YouTube. I came up with about under 20 questions to ask myself. And I hope you all enjoy them. And there's also going to be a Q&A session that I posted on my Instagram and my YouTube channel. Number 1, how did I get into trains? It's been a lifelong thing. It started when I was probably the earliest known documentation I have is my 2nd birthday. I was watching Thomas the Tank Engine. There is video of it and I have it digitally backed up. I was watching Trust Thomas and Other Stories, and as I've said many different times, I loved Thomas the Tank Engine when I was a kid. And I remember as a kid watching it on all the videotapes, but I remember also as well watching Shining Time Station. On the show Shining Time Station, they mixed in real trains with Thomas the Tank Engine. So they'd have like a human sequence and they'd have clips of real steam engines. Locomotives I remember being in the show were Norfolk and Western 611, Reading 2101, Norfolk and Western 1218. I remember seeing they were either E units or F units in the Ghost episode. But the one that I think many people distinctly remember is the Union Pacific 844. And I think Shining Time Station got my fascination watching steam trains as a kid. It was shortly after that my parents used to buy me train videos. I remember having Goodhart production videotapes. I remember having them all over the place. I remember having lots and lots of trains, all about fast-moving trains. There's also one with Cosmo and Hobart. I can't remember what it was called. And There Goes a Train. I also remember as a kid watching the Hey Arnold Haunted Train special, which is my favorite Halloween special, cartoon-wise. So I remember having this fascination watching trains as a kid. I even remember watching Runaway Trains Discovery Channel documentary. In 1995, I used to say on here it was 96, but I actually rediscovered the pamphlet from 95. I went to the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum. And that was the first time I saw a steam engine under steam. And the first steam train I remember seeing under operation was the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum 610. The reason I remember that is I remember seeing 4501 when we made it to the shops. And 4501 at that point was still in green. And my grandmother's favorite color was green. I remember the tunnel, the bridges, and Grand Junction. And of course the turntable. I remember 2 years later going to the Arcade and Attica Railroad in 1997, which I also found my memento from that railroad, which was my ticket, and riding the train in the summer of 97 behind Arcade and Attica 18. I remember watching trains as a kid, other than that, because my grandfather told me that there really wasn't too many steam locomotives in operation. While 611 and 261 visited the area while I was a kid, obviously the internet wasn't a thing, and my parents and I never knew about them until years later. My grandfather told me when I was a kid that it was really uncommon to see steam trains unless you're at a museum or a railroad like the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum. I had a desire to go see steam trains, but I never knew where to go, and neither did my grandfather, other than the Arcade and Attica. But I remember being trackside as a kid, I remember Conrail, and I remember watching Buffalo Southern Railroad 2010 and 5010. Heck, I remember watching the 1847 and 4212 delivered. So there was always that fascination to trains from the time I was a kid, and I just always enjoyed watching them. And while throughout my life, there's obviously been long periods where trains weren't really in the forefront of my mind. They've always kind of been in my life. How did I get into filmography and photography? When I was a kid, I loved watching movies. Obviously, being a kid of the 90s, I wanted in some way, shape, or form to be a movie director. Obviously, when you're a kid, you don't really realize what goes into it, but I loved watching movies like Jaws, Godzilla, disaster movies like The Poseidon Adventure, The Towering Inferno. I loved watching animated movies. I was a 90s Nick kid. But I always loved the idea of making movies. When I was in middle school, me and a few friends actually formed a production company. I'm not going to say what we called it, to try and respect their privacy, but we made movies when I was in 8th grade in about 2006. Those will never see the light of day. They were Star Wars fan movies, and we made a few movies based on video games. So there's always been a little bit of fascination with me in making movies. My dream of being a film director kind of died in middle school. I like doing stuff, you know, on a home level. I like taking home movies. I documented, and I don't know whatever happened to it, my family's 2005 and 2006 Christmas. And I know there's a few others, and hopefully someday I can find the tapes for those. But after 2008, I want to say, there's always a part of me that liked to make short movies, indie movies with my friends and stuff like that. I think it probably, no, I can't even say it was 2008. I stopped around 2010. That was the last time I actually tried making a movie. 3 years later, me and a few friends, and actually Go was involved with it, we tried starting up the whole movie thing again, and it just, yeah. So, movies were always kind of a thing for me. Photography, I've always just enjoyed taking pictures with my cell phones. I've always loved taking pictures of waterfalls, fall foliage, trains, and I actually started taking pictures of trains in 2011 on my BlackBerry. That's a throwback. There is probably, and I'm actually showing them to you right now, these are some of my earliest train photos from my BlackBerry to my iTouch to my iPhone to my Samsung Galaxy. Yeah, these are some of my early train photos. The first time I actually recorded a train video, I believe I did one in 2013 when the fare train left. But I have never been able to locate that. The first one I actually have a video recording of was of the Erie County Fair train leaving in 2014, and that has been published on my channel, and that was shot on my Droid Max. The next train video I shot was of the Nickel Plate Road 765 passing the Union Road overpass in Cheektowaga in August of 2015 with my point and shoot camera. I've also enjoyed taking pictures at concerts. I also that year took video of the Erie County Fair train leaving, which was really the last sole video I had of the Erie County Fair train leaving and the last time I remember them leaving at a reasonable time. But that's how I got into photography and videography. What drew me to the hobby? That was a tough one. Like I said, trains have been a part of my life since I was a kid, and I always in some way, shape, or form wanted to use a video camera, which I'm pointing to right now. I think that had a pivotal role in me turning to the hobby. I wanted to be almost like an indie film director in a nutshell. But what actually drew me to the hobby was years of watching YouTube train videos, whether it be Union Pacific 844, Southern Pacific 4449, Ohio Central. It was just watching it on YouTube kind of drew me to the hobby. I think I got more drawn to it when I decided to come up with the channel when I was talking with Chris and Go. But I think just a lifelong passion is what drew me to this hobby that started this whole channel. I mean, I've always enjoyed watching trains, and then I became one of the people shooting train videos. And what's wild to me is it's almost like I went around in a full circle. I watched train videos as a kid, and now I make train videos for everyone to enjoy. What made me actually want to upload my content on YouTube? And that is an interesting question. Again, watching train videos on YouTube, something hit me that I wanted to be a part of that. Now, something I don't really talk about a lot is that I have been on YouTube on and off over the years. I have uploaded videos. Before you ask what my old channels were, the one that I really uploaded videos on in 2008 was between me and a few friends, and I actually forgot about this one when answering what drew me to videography, photography. was me and a few friends in 2008 created this YouTube channel where we did upload stupid short films. And that's actually where we got the idea to make an alien invasion movie, which was pretty cool. So it's always been the YouTube side of things. I don't know, it just always seemed like a cool thing to do. Like, I remember when YouTube first blew up, and I remember watching music videos and all that fun stuff on there. Concert bootlegs and everything else just always seemed so cool. I remember when I got into the YouTube uploading scene. And I did have a video game channel, which is no longer up. It was only up for about a year or two. And I do remember uploading videos from that said channel, and it was just always a lot of fun. And it was fun too because I focused on retro video games from my childhood. And it always amazed me in a way how many people, you know, connected and were like, oh my God, I used to play this game when I was a kid. This is so cool. Thanks for uploading. And it was a very rewarding experience. With trains, I wasn't really expecting that because I didn't really know what I was going to have to offer compared to someone else, if that makes sense. But I just wanted to get into the scene, and it wasn't just trains at first. If you remember, the original title was Action, Set, and Go, Railfanning and Other Cool Stuff. Trains, while I will admit, have become pretty much 95% of the channel. I've always been into other things. I may not have been a plane spotter like Chris, but I love going to ship museums. I love going to transportation museums and seeing classic cars. I love history. I love reading about World War I, World War II, the Civil War, and all that stuff. So there has been a few museums that I've been able to upload that have gone into that. And that was the basis originally for the channel. It just happened to be, I wanted to share all of that. I wanted to share our adventures and almost in a way have it, I wouldn't say exactly a vlog, but just more or less to be like, hey, here was our fun adventures from summer of 2016. Who were my influences? I've always been a movie buff. In a way, though, I can't exactly say filmmaking or any of these filmmakers. They did inspire me to want to pick up a camera and make videos like this. But I can't exactly say they influenced me on my style on my YouTube channel, because when you get down to the nitty and the gritty, obviously trains and all this isn't like the movies I watched, like Godzilla, Jaws, Star Wars, anything like that. But I'd be remiss to say all that is the reason I wanted to get a video camera from the time I was 9 years old. My biggest influences when it comes down to the channel would have to be Coaster Fan 2105, Joe Fusco, who I actually remember watching his videos in high school, Dynamo Productions' John O'Clair, another one I actually remember watching his videos in high school. I liked Pro Rail Style, I liked Delay and Block Production. All these channels helped inspire me when I was realizing I have this video, do I upload it to YouTube or not? And I'm sure there are other YouTubers out there that I'm not thinking of, but those are my influences, to name a few. One thing about influences I do want to harp on is when I was in high school, I loved bootleg concert films. Whether it was the Pro Shot concert videos or whether it was shot on a Super 8mm back in the 70s, I loved discovering some of those old videos. There was one of Led Zeppelin in particular from 1977 when Keith Moon joined the band for a performance. It was shot in LA, and that hands down was one of my favorite bootleg videos. One of the things I do like about the Super 8 stuff was that it was raw and unpolished. And that's how I've always viewed my videos as. One thing I think is cool, but somewhat in a way kind of gets old after a while, is when people put their footage going in order, in chronological order of which crossing they caught it at. I like putting it in, if I shoot something over multiple days, I like putting it in the order I shot it, giving it that kind of raw, rock bootleg kind of feeling. And also trying to give people who want to chase the line a fair chance for using my videos as a study guide. Yes, I do put it in order for a director's cut, but typically I like keeping it that raw, unpolished type of footage. What was my favorite adventure on the road over the past 5 years? I still think my Iowa adventure in 2019 would have to be up there as my favorite adventure, because that was just a blast, and Well, I've been on a few adventures since then that have been equally as fun. There was just something about that trip that's still pretty awesome to me. And that was the trek to Illinois with the 6988. I think too, getting in the cab of 6988 really made that. What are some of my other interests? Well, obviously I like photography and videography. I love playing video games. I am mainly a retro video game player. My favorite video game is the Oddworld series. I love hiking, I love walking. Like I said, I'm a movie buff. I also love music. I love going to concerts. I love going for bike rides. There's many things I do. There's other things. When you're really pressed, sometimes it's hard to think about it. I haven't read a novel in years, but I do love reading books. And yeah. Do I model train at all? Yes, but I'm kind of weird about model train. I only buy locomotives I like. Maybe someday I'll show my model trains off. But I don't really have any place to run them, and to me they're more display pieces, if that makes sense. That might sound stupid, and I realize it does, but it's almost like some of the action figures I own, like my Godzilla action figures. They're really more for display pieces. Someday I'd like to run them, but right now they're a display piece, and I'm happy with that. Where did we come up with the original name? How did I come up with the current name? To be fair, I don't remember how we came up with the original name. I remember me, Chris, and Go were trying to think of a name. And I think it literally just came just like that. And then we all took the roles. Chris was action, I was set, and Go was Go. But I really don't remember how we came up with the name. I wanted to emphasize Railfanning because we had more Railfanning clips at the time from my ride on the Strasburg 90, throttle time session with 767 in the reveal, the Paramarquette video, the Steam in the Valley. But we also had plane spotting videos. We also had museum videos such as the USS Cod, the Air Force Museum. But we wanted to emphasize we weren't just all about railfanning, and in a way too, next year I would love to get some videos that aren't exactly railfanning videos. How did I come up with the C. Henderson Rail Productions? If you watched our 3rd year anniversary video, you hear me and Chris joke about the fact that we didn't understand why we remained Action, Set, and Go, especially after when Go left. A friend of mine also said to me, why didn't you rename yourselves Action, Set, and Roll when Matt joined and his role became Roll? And I said, well, at that point, even though I knew we weren't really that big, going back from our meeting notes, yes, we actually used to have meetings about the channel, we didn't really feel we wanted to change the name for God knows whatever reason. I think it just, as stupid as it was catchy. Because for a long time, people used to always say to me, hey, you're Action, Set, Go. When Chris and I in 2020 were talking, we wanted to rebrand the channel and we wanted to make it stronger. I'm not going to lie, the 2016 videos are cringe. I am not going to stand by it all and say any of those videos are good. They're good. Don't get me wrong. I love the museum videos from 2016. Our railfanning ones could use a lot of work, especially before we started using a thing called a tripod. Don't ask. I don't know why we didn't use tripods at the beginning. I think Chris didn't like them because he liked panning, and panning handheld can be easier if you know how to do it. But anyhow, that's not the point of this discussion. We realized how much professional we had become, and the channel was growing. And really, Action, Set, and Go, railfanning, and other cool stuff was a mouthful to say. We actually, together, tried brainstorming other ideas. And every name Chris came up with was taken. I then decided, knowing that his interest was fading, I said, why don't we make it Chris and Christian Photography? And he said no, he didn't want his name to be associated with it, which I respect. And it was then that I kind of realized that he really outgrew the channel. I mean, he went on the major trips the first few years, but 2018 he only went on one trip. He was supposed to go to Steam in the Valley with me when other commitments held him up. 2019, I didn't even really try to collab with him. I just did my own thing, and when 611 came up, he told me he was interested in going, and I said, we're seeing 611 and 425, and he said, cool, and he actually liked both of them. But really, I noticed in 2018 there was that separation. In last year's anniversary special, I actually dubbed it in the video editing title on my video editing software, and then there was one. And while I'm still open to collabing with Chris, because there is no beef between me and Chris, we have been friends since 2003, it'd be great to collab with him again, but I also, in a way, like the fact it's become C. Henderson Rail Productions. I feel it's fit the channel more so since 2018 than what Action Set and Go did, because it is me, Christian Henderson, showing my interest in rail fanning, and I'm glad to know so many people actually do enjoy my videos. It came to me one night, I pinged it off of my very good friend and colleague, Buffalo Photo Girl, and she flat out told me, yeah, that's cool. It's a lot better than the goofy name, Action Set and Go, Rail Fanning and other cool stuff, or whatever other mouthfuls in that. But it came. I kept my mouth shut. The only other person who knew was my other good friend and colleague, Toledo Rails. And he's also the one that helped me with the new logo. Thanks again, Toledo. Why was I so anonymous at first? Why were we so anonymous at first? Well, between me, Chris, and Go, I'm actually sure if you dug well enough, we actually started a YouTube channel a year before Action Set and Go. Not going to say the name of it, it never really took off anywhere, but it was more or less a talk show style review. I don't really know why we attempted that. We also kept our identities hidden, and we actually came up with jokingly fake names. And that's how we introduced and spoke to one another. The three of us grew up in the 90s. And if you grew up in the 90s, which is something that always blows my mind with some of my viewers, we were always taught stranger danger. And I remember when the internet was becoming a big thing, AOL chat rooms in the 90s, instant messenger, all this fun stuff. I remember the big thing our teachers and all the kids shows at the time harped was safety on the internet. You had to be safe on the internet. And with the way the internet has evolved, I don't really know if that's taught in schools or not anymore. I remember, and it is the only episode of Disney's Doug I remember. I remember there was an episode of Disney's Doug where they covered that, where Doug was giving out way too much information online. And by the way, I love Nickelodeon's Doug. I don't hate Disney's Doug. But I always was sure, whatever the YouTube channel was, I always tried to keep what we were anonymous for the safety of us. And in today's age, everything's out there on the internet. At first, we didn't really expect the channel to blow up the way it did. Yeah, we always spoke about what happens if we get monetized. We did it for fun. We never realized, including myself, I never realized the amount of people I would meet on the road, the amount of friendships I would found, the amount of cool people I would meet on the road. It just never hit me when this first started off. So that's why we were anonymous. I think Toledo Rails was the first person that actually got to know my name. Because again, me and him have been good friends since 2018, and we have had a few good chases together. But that's why we were anonymous at first. And now it's pretty much become, yeah, I'm Christian, and obviously for a few other reasons, because of where I want this to continue to expand, we had to come out in 2019 and state who we really were. I even created a fake Facebook account of Seth Anderson, Seth being taken from Seth, and Anderson being another version of my last name, even though it's spelled with an A instead of an H. Since the channel has solely become myself, how has it changed? Well, that's a good question. I feel in many ways now that it's myself, and I feel since 2018, I've been able to focus on my projects. And now that it is solely me, I'm going to flat out tell you, over the next year, there is a few projects I want to put together that I hope you all will enjoy. I'm still brainstorming a lot of them, but the monetization aspect was really something that, now that it's solely me, I want to expand on the C. Henderson Rail brand. I want to start selling some of my stills. There is a lot of things that I want to expand upon that if I still had Chris go or Matt, it'd be a team effort on which way I can go. I feel I have a lot more freedom, but I also feel too where Chris went to school and learned filmography and all that fun stuff, I feel too it's been a learning experience. My next question was, what were some of my hardest moments as a channel? The first hard moment came in January of 2017 when Go decided he was just moving on with his life. Me and Go back many years. I even want to say somehow we knew one another in elementary school. I remember seeing him in the hallways in middle school, but I don't think we officially became friends until high school. When we founded this channel, and really chasing wasn't my expertise, because if you remember in 2016, if we got more than 3 shots of a steam locomotive moving in a video combined with a ride, that was a lot. The Viscose Company 6 is really the first series of video, which all make me cringe by the way, of where we were trackside. Me and Chris were trackside. It was the Paramarquette 75th anniversary excursion when there was no photo run by that really had me going, I want to make more chasing videos. And I'll never forget Chris saying to me, well, how do we chase? And when we were planning our 2017 adventures, one of the things with Go was the fact that in the early days of chasing, we spoke about how great it would be to have 3 videographers with us because we could, on some of the harder chases, we could all spread out in 3 spots. And that kind of was our thing even after Go left, when we had roll. Especially when we went on some of those harder chases. To be fair, me and Chris even spoke about ending the channel. And while I really wouldn't say we blew up when we first uploaded our videos, because looking back on them, they were cringe compared to the Railfanning videos of that time, we spoke, do we want to end it? And I said no. When Go resigned and decided he needed a change in his life, and he's been doing fantastic, we decided to continue on. And I think then that is when I decided to start discovering the art of chasing. In 2017, when we went to Chicago, we were so hyped up for that trip. And unfortunately, it was just so. It wasn't because the environment was bad, we were jet lagged. We were jet lagged even though we drove. It was the first time any of us had been in a different time zone. Too much packed in over a score of a few days, not really planning things out, and a few personal issues brought me back home. It was during the Frisco 1630 chase that I said to Chris, let's end the channel. And he literally said to me, we're going to give it all up. We're going to give this all up over this. And I'm like, these past few days, man. And Chris said, it's just too bad that situation happened before you went there, man. But we're going to give it up all over this. He's like, come on, we're committed to seeing the Paramarquette 1225 again. I want to see the 1225 again. I'm looking forward to going down south to Chattanooga. And Roll was like, yeah. And on the way back, we were all kind of angry with each other on how the Chicago trip went. But we prevailed. And I sat down and started editing videos. And it was when I was watching the videos I realized the time there wasn't that bad. And then Chris and myself went to go chase the Paramarquette 1225. We went to go partake in Railfest 2017. And the thrill, especially at the 1225, really picked up. That was honestly, for the next 3 years, was the last moment I had where I thought about ending the channel and one of the hardships of the channel. There were some hard times, but generally everything prevailed smoothly for the next 3 years. Then we got into the pandemic situation of last year. Then a few situations changed in my life, such as moving out of my childhood home. For those wondering, not that I'm going to get into that much detail, but I'm one of the few people who helps take care of my grandparents. And that's all the detail I'm going to go into it because that's all you guys need to know. And last year we finally put up my childhood home for sale. I moved into my own place. And you know, things just kind of got to me, especially seeing how I thought we were coming to a little bit of a calm spot, and then it just literally just went back up and shot back up for the remainder of last year. But there was also something else in my life, which people personal know about, and it was with someone that came back in my life. And part of me kind of blamed the amount of times I went away with the channel or was involved in the channel, why we had so many issues. So throughout 2020, I battled that many different times, and that is why I spoke so much about going on hiatus. Once things cleared and the situation was resolved, it actually helped me realize just how much I love being behind a camera and how much I love shooting trains. And it also got me more serious about my work, approaching the 5th year anniversary, realizing I was still shooting in 1080p. That's why I upgraded to a 4K camera. And I specifically think, I've always said since 2018, my work has gotten better. But I think over the past year, my work has really improved, and I'm really proud of everything I shot. Those were my hardest moments with the channel so far, and hopefully those are as hard as what it gets. And that does it with the questions I'm going to ask myself. For interviewing myself, I hope it was okay, and I hope you all enjoy it. Now, there's one more part of this video. On my Instagram and my YouTube channel, those are really where I have the most interaction with my fans. I put out a Q&A. Promising it, again, like the 4th year anniversary, to be answered in this video. So I'm going to begin with the Instagram Q&A session, and then I'm going to go over to the YouTube channel session. Before I start this, I did put out a rule there. There was one question that always seems to get asked, and I get tired of answering it. And that is, what is my favorite steam locomotive? I've always said my favorite steam locomotive up until August this past year was the Union Pacific 844. This past August, I realized it was the 6988. And I put that out there when I put this up there. It changed because I realized all the times I went out to go chase the 6988, I like the locomotive more than I like the 844. The 844 is still on my top 5 favorites. I hope someday I get to do a better chase with the 844. But to me, 6988 right now steals that place for me as an adult. I'm going to start with the Instagram Q&A, and then I'm going to go to the YouTube session. Spank asks, any current plans for 2022? Obviously, with getting a new job and next year going to not be as big as what I wanted my 5th anniversary of my channel to be, I will promise you, you probably will see some typical favorites. 425, 2102, hopefully, 1309, 765, 1225, and I really want to go back next year for probably, which will be my only vacation, and shoot the 261. We'll see what happens. But next year, I will promise you, especially with the new job and needing to do it for a while, next year will be, in terms of what adventures I do, next year will be a lot more tame. Will almost probably be similar to 2017 and 2016. More 2017. Stephen Sane, Railfanning Productions, asked, what tourist line out west do you want to see the most? That was his first question. Not going to lie, I definitely would love to go back to the Grand Canyon Railway, but if there's one that I've never been to before, it'd have to be a tie between Niles Canyon Railway, or Durango and Silverton. How was the Berkshires and Bellevue event? Well, to be fair, I didn't really know what it was going to be like. I assumed it was going to be a bigger version of Fort Wayne Railroad Historical Society's open house, and it was, but it far exceeded every expectation I had of the event, and it was phenomenal. The whistle battle between 765 and 757 was completely unexpected. The night session was fantastic, and a huge thank you to Fort Wayne and the Mad River and Nickel Plate Railroad Museum for putting on the event. Andrew Stewart asked, what do you like most about trains? I don't know. I really can't answer that one. I think part of it, like I was answering beforehand, ties into the fact that I always in some way, shape, or form wanted to be making videos. Another part goes back to my childhood. I always loved watching train videos, Thomas the Tank Engine, and they're just neat to see, especially steam locomotives. Each one has their own personality. Lane Strains asked, what was the one thing that really made you say I want to do YouTube? Going back to high school, like I said, there was always just that desire to do YouTube. Me and a few friends had a few YouTube channels over the years. So in the back of my mind, there was always a part of me that wanted to find what I uploaded the best on YouTube, what I enjoyed uploading the best. And I found it with trains. CN7470 asks, can you explain your humor? I'll wait. I like bad dad jokes, dank memes, South Park, Simpsons, Futurama, whatever I find funny. Luke Stopman1 asked, what keeps you motivated to make YouTube videos? And the fans, knowing people enjoy it, it really means a lot. It's just great knowing that there are people out there that love watching my work and do enjoy the videos I put up there, and that's what continues to keep me motivated. Stephen St. Railfan Productions asked again, have you ever considered going to the Little River Railroad in Michigan? And yes, someday I'd like to go to the Little River Railroad in Michigan. I just don't know when I'll finally make it out there. Business Car 10 Productions asked, what chase would you redo if you could do it better? I'm going to shock you all when I say both Kerwood Highlander videos. The first Kerwood Highlander video, I have no idea how that's my most popular video. Not really knowing the line and being afraid of not being able to catch back up with the train, I couldn't get over how easy it was to keep up with the 1225, but I really feel my video suffered. The 2018 Kerwood Highlander, I made sure to catch for the entire train, but that was also a week before I started getting more serious about still photography, and all of my stills from the event were screenshotted. And I'd like to redo both of them if a chance is ever given again. And not that it's a chase, but if I could do it over again, I wish I could have chased the 75th anniversary of the 1225. L. Walsh 72 said, it's Borger time. And yes, when I get to a Culver's, it will be Borger time. Or when I get to a Jack in the Box, it'll be Borger time. And Pensy Pro said, Thomas and 611. Isn't it just like Thomas and Gordon? And yes, it is just like Thomas and Gordon. If the Strasburg Railroad did a reenactment with 611 as Gordon. And the last part of the Q&A, I'm going to go to my YouTube channel. And these were the questions that were asked me on my YouTube channel. NKP757 Railfan asked 3 questions. What is your favorite Steamtown locomotive? They're all steam locomotive. I don't know, never been there. I like the 3713. I don't really have a preference. What is your favorite Lima locomotive? I'm going to have to go with the Paramarquette 1225, but I also think too the Southern Pacific 4449 is definitely up there. What amusement park has the best railroad? Yes. I don't know. Never really been to an amusement park with a railroad. The CSS Railfan asked, what is your opinion of, at the time, the Iowa Pacific bankruptcy and the selling of its historic equipment? I don't know. I didn't really follow it. What is your favorite short line in the Chicago region? I, again, couldn't answer that one. If I had to pick Illinois Railway Museum, I really couldn't tell you. Josh the Hollow asked, do you think Paramarquette 1225 and Nickel Plate Road 765 will ever double head again? I don't know. I'm just someone who takes video and photos. I'd like to see it happen again. Will it happen again? I don't know. Regular guy, didn't your favorite locomotive used to be the UP844? Yes, I answered that right before I went through this. Aiden Schoenman asked, are you going to film Reading 2102 when she is finished? And yes. Steve Wepner asked 2 questions. What are you more excited to see, CNO 1309 or Reading 2102? I'm going to have to say CNO 1309. The project has been long. It's going to be fantastic to see that thing operational, and that also means too we're going to have a Malay operating in the eastern United States.
and steam's going to return to the Western Maryland Scenic. Favorite fast food place? Gonna have to say Jack in the Box. North Penn Steam Productions asked question, have you ever seen Reading Blue Mountain and Northern Railroad 2102 in the shops? Yes, and it was actually in the 113 video, but I didn't actually go into the shops. You could see the front of the locomotive. Lane Strains asked who should restore it and run it on the main line. And yeah, run it on the main line. Matt Strains asked, what was your favorite Railfan event of 2021? This is a tough one. There were so many great events this year. It almost reminded me of 2018 and 2019. I loved filming Conway Scenic 7470 on its winter excursion in January. That was different from Steam in the Snow, mainly because the train actually returned in daylight. I really like the Norfolk and Western 475 video I shot with it running in the snow in February. I liked when the Southern 630 returned and had the steamboat whistle on. The 611 visit at Strasburg this year was great. The CNJ 113 benefit excursion was fantastic. I definitely liked spending the 3 days chasing the Iowa Interstate 6988. The Steam in the Valley video was fantastic, coming off of just how amazing Berkshires and Bellevue was. And Troy Hensley asked, do you like the Milwaukee Road 261? Yeah. Anyhow, that's it for my 5th anniversary. I just want to thank everyone for all the support and everything over the years. I'm glad you all enjoy my videos, my work. If you haven't already yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It'd be great somehow if I got 3,000 subscribers before the end of the year. If you like my videos, as always, give them a like. I'm appreciative of all of you guys. Thank you for helping me grow, and I hope this channel continues to grow. Whether you subscribe to me here, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and yeah. Please continue this support. It means the world. I'm Christian. And stay tuned. There's still some pretty great adventures coming up in the final few months of 2021.